Hello friends, welcome to UPSC Logics, and in this particular video we are going to have a look at the fundamental rights. So this is the next part in the UPPSC special revision series, and this is the part 4. So this has been done in one-liner format, and this particular video we shall be dealing in questions from the fundamental rights chapter. So before we start, guys, I just want to remind you that if you haven't done the subscription or haven't pressed the bell, please do so that you can get the latest updates from UPSC Logics. So let us begin this particular chapter on fundamental rights. India is referred as Bharat under the Indian Constitution. Who is empowered to admit a new state to the Union of India? It is the Parliament. Which important human right is protected in Article 21 of our Constitution? It is right to life and liberty. The Constitution confers a special authority for the enforcement of fundamental rights on the Supreme Court. The fundamental rights of the Indian citizen in our Constitution are contained in, or fundamental rights are guaranteed under Part 3 of our Indian Constitution. Under Article 368, Parliament has no power to repeal fundamental rights because they are included in the basic structure of the Constitution. Fundamental rights can be claimed against the state. The fundamental rights, which cannot be suspended even during the emergency, are Articles 20 and 21. Clause 1 of Article 13 is applicable only to pre-constitutional laws. Original Constitution classified fundamental rights into 7 categories, but now they are 6. India's desire for civil liberties started from the struggle for independence against the British rule. India borrowed the idea of incorporating fundamental rights into the Constitution from United States of America. The concept of single citizenship is borrowed from the Constitution of Britain. The concept of dual citizenship in the Union of India was recommended by L.M. Singhvi Committee, under which article of the Indian Constitution citizenship of a person can be determined at the commencement of the Constitution. It was Article 5. Which article describes the person's voluntary acquiring citizenship of a foreign state not to be an Indian citizen? It is Article 9. Who is authorized to lay down qualifications to acquire the citizenship? It is the President. Which of the following is a qualification to acquire citizenship by naturalization? A person is in service of Government of India for 12 months. Fundamental rights are not applicable to armed forces. Which article of the Constitution empowers the Parliament to enact the provisions for acquisition and termination of citizenship? It is Article 11. By which fundamental right other fundamental rights are protected? It is the right to constitutional remedies, or Article 32. Right to property is a legal right under the Article 300A. Which fundamental right has been a subject of maximum controversy and litigation? It is right to property. The right to private property was dropped from the list of fundamental rights by or right of property took the shape of legal right by the way of 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978. The right to equality guaranteed by the Indian Constitution does not include economic equality. Equality before law implies absence of any privilege in favor of any person. Which resolution for the first time expressed the concept of equality before the law? It was the Swaraj Bill. The fundamental rights of the Indian citizen were enshrined in the original constitution. Which one of the fundamental rights was described by Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar as the heart and soul of the Indian Constitution? It was the right to constitutional remedies, or Article 32. What confers upon the citizens the right to approach a court of law for the protection and restoration of fundamental rights? It's the right to constitutional remedies. The right to constitutional remedies are fundamental rights. The constitutional remedies under Article 32 can be suspended by the Parliament. Writs can be issued for the enforcement of fundamental rights by the Supreme Court. Which one of the following fundamental rights is restrained by the Preventive Detention Act? It is right to freedom. Who enjoys the right to impose reasonable restrictions on the fundamental rights of Indian citizens? Or who has the power to empower the courts other than the Supreme and High Courts to issue writs and order for the enforcement of fundamental rights? It is the Parliament. Who can abridge any fundamental right without damaging or destroying the basic feature of the Constitution? It is the Parliament. Which one of the following court is responsible for the enforcement of fundamental rights? It is the Supreme Court. Which of the following is the guardian of the fundamental rights of the citizens, or who is the protector and guarantor of the fundamental rights? It is again Supreme Court of India. Any violation of fundamental rights can be presented to both Supreme Court and High Court. Who is authorized to impose restrictions on fundamental rights? It is the legislature. The fundamental rights of the Indian citizen can be suspended by the President during national emergency. Fundamental rights are those basic conditions of social life without which a citizen cannot be at his or her best self. Fundamental rights ensure the protection of citizens against arbitrary rule. Our Constitution grants to the citizens 6 fundamental rights. Ultra vires means without authority. Who is not entitled to form a union? It is the police. By the Citizenship Act of 1955, when he or she will be losing his citizenship, it would be in the case of renunciation, deprivation, and termination. Who quoted, "Child of today is the citizen of tomorrow"? It was Jawaharlal Nehru. Generally, the census is conducted for 10 years. Who quoted, "Freedom is my birthright"? It was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. What is the age in years for casting one's vote? It is 18 years. Which article and amendment changes the right to vote from 21 to 18 years? It was the Article 326 and 61st Amendment Act. Creamy layer means persons having higher incomes. Backward classes can be classified into most backward classes. Mandal Commission deals with reservation for backward class people. This is one of the grounds for classification. Annual income. Equal protection of law meant the same law shall apply to all who are similarly situated. Gender equality includes protection from sexual harassment and right to work with dignity, which is universally recognized as basic human right. This principle is laid down in Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan case. The Supreme Court held that the nuisance caused by pollution of the river Ganga is a public nuisance which is widespread and affecting the life of large number of persons, and therefore any particular person can take proceedings to stop it. This PAIL is MC Mehta versus Union of India, year 1988. Charging capitation fee for admission to educational institutions is illegal and amounted to denial of citizens' right to education. This principle is laid down in Mohin Jain versus State of Karnataka case. The right to establish an educational institution and imparting education is not a commercial activity. This principle is laid down in Unnikrishnan versus State of Andhra Pradesh case. The principle of judicial review of President's rule in state under the Article 356 is laid down in S.R. Bommai versus Union of India. Who among the following has voting rights? An adult resident citizen of a state. Which one of the following fundamental rights has been subject to maximum litigation since the inauguration of the Constitution? It is the right to property. The rule of equality before law is not applicable to the governor of the state. Right to equality is guaranteed under the Article 14. Article 14 guarantees equality before the law to all people. Right to equality means permit the states to make special provisions for women, children, and backward classes. Equal opportunity in matter of public employment is guaranteed under Article 16. Who among the following fundamental right abolishes discrimination? It is the right to equality. Untouchability is associated with social inequality. Right to freedom can be restricted in the interest of public order, security of state, and friendly relations with foreign states. This is not the ground to impose restrictions on the right of freedom of speech and expression. It is law and order. Which one of the following rights conferred by the Constitution is also available to non-citizens? It is right to constitutional remedies. The Sikhs in India are permitted to carry kripans. Under which fundamental right are they permitted to do so? It is the right to freedom of religion. Freedom of speech under Indian Constitution is subject to reasonable restrictions on the grounds of protection of sovereignty and integrity of the country. Which one of the following is considered as bulwark of democracy? It is the right to speech. One of the restrictions of freedom of speech and expression is contempt of court. At present, the right to property is a human right. Which one of the following is not a fundamental right? It is the right to property under Article 300A and is a legal right. The main objective of the cultural and educational rights granted to the citizens is to help the minorities to conserve their culture. A person can move to Supreme Court directly in case of violation of fundamental rights under Article 32. A citizen's fundamental rights are protected when the citizen approaches the court for remedy. The fundamental rights of a citizen can be suspended by the President during a national emergency. For the enforcement of fundamental rights, the court can issue a writ. Which fundamental right granted by the Constitution prohibits traffic in human beings? It is right against exploitation. Traffic in human beings means selling or purchasing men and women. Right against exploitation prohibits trafficking in human beings. Right to practice and propagate any religion is the subject to public order. Right to property was eliminated from the list of fundamental rights during the tenure of Morarji Desai. Legal equality under the Indian Constitution implies that there should be equality amongst equals and inequality amongst unequals. Who of the following can amend the fundamental rights granted by the Constitution? It is the Parliament. A citizen can directly move the Supreme Court for any violation of fundamental rights under Article 34. The main objective of the fundamental rights is to ensure individual liberty. Under the Indian Constitution, a citizen can be deprived of life and liberty only in accordance with the procedure established by the law. Which of the provisions authorizes Parliament to discriminate in favor of women against men? It is Article 15, Clause 3. Article 15, Clause 3 confers a special provision to women and children. Article 15, Clause 4 confers a special provision for the advancement of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. The prohibition imposed by the Article 20 is applicable to criminal cases. The principle, no person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offense more than once, is called double jeopardy. If an act is not an offense on the date of its commission, a law enacted in future cannot make it so, is the principle of ex post facto law. Ex post facto law means passing criminal law with retrospective effect. An arrested person should be allowed to consult his lawyer. Every person who has been arrested has the right to be produced before the magistrate. So friends, this brings us to end of part 4 of this particular series, and we are dealing with fundamental rights, so we shall do one more video on fundamental rights. That would be part 5. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have liked this particular video. If you do like this video, do subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon for notifications of new videos which shall be uploaded pretty soon, so that you do not miss anything from UPSC Logics. And thank you so much for watching, and Jai Hind.